In his first year, Bill O'Brien has to win at least 6 games for this to be a successful season.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Locked On Boston College, your team every day. I'm your host, AJ Black. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Game time. All right. We have a big episode today. I was going to talk about the depth chart, but it hasn't come out yet, so we're going to have to pivot. We're going to talk about season expectations. I hear all that Bill O'Brien is a monster stuff out there. What is he building, though? Is it going to be enough this season? Will BC get to what they need to do? I'm going to get into what a successful year for Bill O'Brien in year one will look like. Well, additionally, there's 2 injuries I think we really need to talk about that we have not talked about enough. And finally, we'll get into some real recruiting news as BC is going to have their first challenge for some of their recruits after they've committed. I'll tell you about 2 guys and what the situation is there in our final segment. Now, yes, Bill O'Brien is ready to start his Boston College career as a head coach in his first live game on Monday against the Florida State Seminoles. And they are right now 17-point underdogs. It doesn't look like the Vegas odds are giving them much. They're giving them much of a chance. You look at most publications; they don't have them having much of a chance. My point is, though, after this game, you can have a little bit of a reset because you get Mizzou in a couple weeks. That's going to be tough too. But after that, how many wins do you need to see out of Boston College for this to be a successful year? 5 wins is not enough. I know the odds for for over and under for wins is 4.5. Going over at 5, I still think that's not a successful season at all. I know they play a tough schedule. I know they have 2 top 10 teams in the first 3 weeks. But when you are a coach like Bill O'Brien, who has been experienced, who has done this type of work, who has been successful, who took a program that was at death's door in Penn State and brought them to an 8-9 win season when half their program quit, he has shown that he can do this. He has the tools there. You have a quarterback who could be very good if you can help work that way. You have a defense that I feel with a little bit of good coaching could get better. So when I look at this schedule and I look at what they need, I think 6 wins is the floor for what could be acceptable. 5 wins, I'm not going to be the guy out there going, oh, you got to fire Bill O'Brien. This guy's a joke, blah, blah. No, none of that. I'm still saying, though, that wasn't a good year. And you could say that. You can be critical. You can say that that would not be successful. I think you don't get quarterbacks like Thomas Castellanos that often. And unless he becomes a complete catastrophe and we just don't see it coming, he should be able to win you games himself. He's that kind of guy. He's a guy that can just win you games. So in that case, BC needs 6 wins because this is a year that kind of is like a rebuild year. It's not really, but you look at the year ahead and the schedule gets a lot easier. You get Notre Dame, which is going to be tougher, but you have, I think the rest of the out of conference schedule is much easier than this year, if I remember correctly. And the ACC schedule is easier too. So you want to be able to pivot off of this and have some momentum next year. And to do that, you just got to get bowling. That's the key. I have said all along, I think this team could win 7 games. I think that is where I'm at. But I'm saying, what if things don't work out? I think 6 wins is acceptable as well. Anything less than that, I'm not a big fan. Of course, there are other factors that could go in that could change how you feel about this season. They haven't played yet. So what happens if there's catastrophic injury? Like, what if you lose Castellanos for some reason? We have not seen Grayson James in practice in a couple of weeks. Is he even ready? Because if you got Jacoby Robinson, like say something happens to Castellanos, God forbid. I don't even want to joke about that. But you have to go Jacoby Robinson. Good luck. I mean, he's not bad. He's improving. I've said he's improved a lot, but there's a huge jump from Castellanos to Robinson. That would change my perspective, and there's not really much you could do about that, right? O'Brien, I think I have said since they hired him that I think Bill O'Brien is the perfect fit for Boston College. I think this is the hire that they needed to make BC take that next step. And I think once the recruits and transfers see what he is building and know, from his prior experience, what you're getting into here at Boston College, that's going to be able to take this program up. So you got to start somewhere. Starting with the bowl game is a perfect place to start. If they don't get that, you lose the 15 practices in the winter. You don't get to sell that to recruits and transfers. That's a tougher sell. That's tougher to build off of. And yeah, I know over the last 15 years, BC's gone like 6-6 like a million times. It's happened a lot. But when you play this schedule, the one that they have in front of them, where you have scheduled Michigan State, Missouri, even Western Kentucky is kind of tough, along with whatever you're playing in your conference. 6 wins isn't the worst thing in the world. So you can then take that and then add onto that next year. So I think for me, when I look at like grading out O'Brien, 7 wins would be like A plus. Like you've done everything that we've hoped you could do. You're building the monster that all the sickos keep talking about. That's great. I think 6 wins is saying, okay, you did it. You hit a mark that we needed you to hit. That is a successful season. 5 wins, it didn't work out this year. That's what I would say from 5 wins below. And I know folks are really excited about this, but we're going to have to wait to see what they look like. I've been a Boston College. I followed, obviously I lived in the area. I was a BC fan forever, and now I cover it. I've seen enough BC teams where I've had high expectations. Then when I go and watch them, it's a different story. This is different for me this year because now that I'm doing more of the media end, I've actually been able to sit in practices and watch them and not just listen to the coaches tell me everything or read, SID reports because everything's closed. I get to see it. So I feel differently about this, but I still have to watch it. I still need to see what they look like against Florida State. And we still have less than a week now, 5 days. I know we're all excited about it. Now, one thing that has really made me a little nervous is injuries. And we got an update on injuries on Monday, and I'm going to explain 2 that are really concerning to me. And I'll explain who those 2 are in just a moment. Let's talk about going to games, going to movies, to theater experiences, concerts, whatever. I love just getting out of the house. And Gametime has made it easier. They have a new feature called Gametime Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live event even easier. Gametime Picks filters out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. For instance, Game Times right now has a 50% off Labor Day offer for Diamondbacks Dodgers. If you live out in Arizona or Los Angeles, that might be a great deal for you. Now, you can use Game Time to find those deals. And I love that it kind of weeds out all those other things. Like when I want to go, sometimes I want to just get a good deal. Game Time makes that easy. They have all-in prices that shows the tickets up front, no surprise fees. You can toggle to make it easy to find what tickets have that on there. And it takes out all the guesswork. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Well, we have something a little different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. I have no faith in the Patriots this year. I like Drake May, but I just feel like this team is going to be bad. Maybe I'm going to take my odds on what the win totals are, take the under on that one, and then just fade on the Patriots all season. I feel like I would be feeling good when it comes to January, even if watching the Patriots does not make me feel good. So with the new deal, you can get a YouTube-based plan, and you use your YouTube-based plan. You'll be able to watch every regular season afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel at any time. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to download America's #1 sportsbook. This is Locked On Boston College. I am your host, AJ Black, and I want to tell you guys, if you have not become an a part of the Eagle Insider Network and checked out my work over there, you're missing out. And if you have not, when you're done making this your first listen every morning, I know you like your Boston College news in the morning. Check out Locked On ACC as well with Alex Dono and Kenton Gibbs. They have very opinionated people and have very opinionated views on Boston College. You may not like it, but it's interesting. So check it out. Now, this weekend, I got to see practice at BC. And BC has been down to linemen. One got dinged up at the end of last week, and the other hasn't practiced at all. So we have known all about Logan Taylor being out since the beginning of practice. He got hurt last year, missed the spring game, and then he hasn't practiced since. I'm not going to get into what the injury is because I don't want to get into that. But he's been out. And on Friday, we asked Coach O'Brien about the injury, and he said, it's been an up and down summer for him. He felt great on Friday, the best he's ever felt, but they still have not been able to get him onto the field. That makes you down one guard. The other injury is to Jude Bowery. And again, I don't know what's going on there. I just know he's out. And that I feel is a big injury too, because who is your backup tackle? If you were to lose Bowery, would you be able to find someone on your roster to, do the things that you need to do against a team like Florida State? I am not sure about that. So I wanted to think about this because if you were down both of these guys, if you go into the Florida State game and you are down Bowery and Taylor, that is bad news. You would basically be going, as I said this on yesterday's episode, with the 2022 offensive line almost all over again. Drastically improved Ozzie Trapilo and Drew Kendall, but I don't think we need to see that. I think Jude Bowery is the biggest factor here because if you lose him, you're going to basically, what I believe it would happen, move Jack Conley over to tackle and then move Kevin Klein over to guard. And I don't think that would be the best offensive line that you could do. If you lose just Taylor, if Logan Taylor is out, I feel like you'd have Dwayne Alec in there for him. And that would be okay. I feel like Dwayne Alec in for Logan Taylor would be okay. But if you had to put in Dwayne Alec and then Jack Conley at tackle and move over Kevin Klein, that's a little tougher. So my hope here, I get, he hasn't practiced yet. So my gut tells me Bill O'Brien has not, he had no updates on Monday about Logan Taylor. I'm guessing he's not going to play. That's my gut right now, is saying that if he is not practicing and it's Tuesday for a Monday game, the odds are not good that he's going to show up. We'll ask him on Thursday. We have a Zoom call with Bill on Thursday with the media. We'll get an update then, and hopefully, he either say it or not. I'm getting the sense there's a little bit of gamemanship going on here, where he doesn't now that we're in game week, he's going to go the Belichick Saban route, and not say anything. But with practices now closed, you're not going to know. You got to see it one day this week, and I couldn't get to this one, but I think as long as Jude Bowery can practice, and I hope he can, then your offensive line can handle the loss of Logan Taylor. If you lost both of them, that's not good at all. I think that's a big concern for BC. If you had to, basically, you're patching up your two-fifths of your offensive line with guys you weren't projecting to play either at the position where you're going to play them or guys that are in lower in your depth chart. You got to cross your fingers on this one. You got to hope that Jude Bowery especially gets healthy enough to play against Florida State, because that run game, and it's going to be so it's so reliant on the offensive line. You're playing a good defensive line. If they play bad, what you saw with Georgia Tech doing isn't going to matter, because Georgia Tech had a great offensive line. You need a good offensive line to be able to battle Florida State. And if you have injuries there, I'm not feeling good about where that would take you. So, say your prayers, drop a dime in the wishing well, and hope that Jude Bowery is going to be healthy when it comes to Monday's game. In our final segment, I want to wrap things up with a little recruiting talk and talk a little bit of a concern that's popped up for any of us watching some of the guys that BC recruited down in Georgia, as there's a couple Georgia schools that are sniffing around. I'll tell you why I'm a little concerned about that in just a moment. I grab a 5-hour energy shot to stay alert to watch all my favorite games. Now, this BC Florida State game is going to be a late one, and I am not a night person. I'm going to need my 5-hour energy game to stay up late, to record, to do all my work. It gives me the boost I need. With zero sugar and a convenient portable size, it's the perfect pick-me-up for getting stuff done. And the website has flavors galore like watermelon, tropical burst, grapeberry, and more. There's a flavor for everyone. You need to try them all. And they have multi-packs, so you can build your own 12-pack or 24-pack. You choose the flavors, and it's delivered right to your door. If you go to 5hourenergy.com, that is the number 5hourenergy.com, and get 5-hour energy products today, you can use my promo code LOCKEDONCFB to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders. Go to 5hourenergy.com today. This is Locked On Boston College, AJ Black. And I hope you become part of our Eagles Nest. I'm giving you news. I'm giving you analysis. I'm waiting for that depth chart to come out so I can talk more about that to some of my insiders there. But anything that I know, I'm going to tell you about it. And one thing that's been popping up has been some recruiting news, and it's not good ones, because BC has 23 commitments, and there's at least 2 right now that other schools are at least one that another school is showing interest in, and another one where it seems like the athlete is interested in other schools. I'll explain what that looks like right now. So Josiah Victor from Grayson, Georgia, was one of the BC's last commitments over the summer. He did not take an official visit, but once BC lost out on a couple of the targets at defensive tackle, he popped up as a major offer. He plays at Grayson, Georgia, a very good school. He had offers from Georgia, a bunch of other programs. Well, you landed him, and then you just assumed that this is a 3-star kid. Georgia is a school that just stockpiles 5 stars. He probably was just like a lower on the list type of kid. Well, it doesn't seem like that's the case, because I was reading some of the news on 247's Georgia site, and Georgia, Florida, there's a few, I think South Carolina, there's a few SEC schools that are showing real interest in him. Now, I thought Tim Lewis, who knows this area, did a great job at identifying this kid and getting him an offer and getting him to commit. When you have SEC schools that are in your backyard, and especially if you're a Georgia kid and you're offered by Georgia, that's going to be a tough pitch to turn down. I'm not sure how serious these schools are. I mean, to credit, the interview that I saw, Victor was talking about these schools while wearing a Boston College jersey. or Boston College t-shirt. So he clearly likes BC. So it's going to be interesting to see how serious these SEC schools are, and will Boston College be able to hold them off? Because that's tough. SEC schools, when they want a guy, you lose them. It's just part of the game, right? Especially those types of SEC schools. Like if it's a Mississippi State or Vanderbilt, yeah, you may be able to beat those guys. But when it's Georgia and you're a Georgia kid, forget about it. Now, the other kid that I mentioned is Zachary Thomas, another Georgia recruit, linebacker who committed to BC over Georgia Tech and a few other Liberty and a few other Kansas, I think, of the other one. Well, after Georgia Tech beat Florida State, and the feeling, and you read some articles about how the recruiting has been important and how they're building a pipeline in their own state. Well, Zachary Thomas played his first game last week, and he had all these highlights of all the things that he did, and he's tagging on Twitter Brent Key, and that's not good. If you're committed to a school and you have highlight reels and you're clearly trying to get it looks like it's clearly trying to get the attention of other programs. Well, this stuff all happens. I'm not saying that BC's going to I say this stuff and then I'm going to get 15 comments that are like, "Oh, they're gone." Blah blah blah. Well, there's lots of dominoes that we don't know about that maybe we're not aware of. It and all this stuff happens all the time, and sometimes it's just not on Twitter. But when it blasts you in the face, when you open Twitter and you see Zachary tagging Brent Key, you're like, "Huh, what's going on there?" So it's all part of this game. It is, and I think you have a coach that can handle this kind of stuff. So they're just two situations to watch at this point. Now for tomorrow's show, I want to say that the depth chart is going to be coming out. I was told it was coming out Tuesday after the press conference. Haven't seen it yet, so not sure if O'Brien got cold feet and is not going to release one. But we haven't seen one yet. But if and that's a big if there's one tomorrow, I will talk about it. If not, I'll have other stuff to talk about because we're only days away from Boston College playing Florida State, so there'll be more to talk about. And if you hit that subscribe button on YouTube, wherever you get your podcast, you'll get that next episode of Locked On BC. So make sure you subscribe. And we'll see you again for tomorrow's show of Locked On Boston College, your team every day.